It's 1 year later, and today we're finally checking out Auxo Legacy Edition. Hey guys, this is Sam, and if you can't tell already, I'm pretty excited because like I said, when we first got our teaser for the very first rendition of what Auxo Legacy Edition would look like, take a look on screen very quickly. I just want to show you guys, do a little history about this tweak because a year ago, all the way back in April of 2014, we got this image, and I assumed that this would be out very, very soon after we saw this little teaser, but it's been a year later, and only today are we finally getting our hands on Auxo Legacy Edition. You guys can see that to activate it, you just simply swipe up from the bottom middle of your screen, and if you also have Auxo 3 installed, I can also access my quick switcher on the left, really no problem, as well as doing the actions from the bottom right corner of my device on the right, once again if you've got Auxo 3 installed, which I do. So let's go ahead and take a look at some more options for Auxo Legacy Edition. If we head over to the Settings app, scroll down to Auxo Legacy Edition's preference panel. There we go at the top, Auxo Legacy Edition by Sentry and Ryan Petrick. And of course, they thank us for our purchase. Under the section for App Switcher, I'm definitely going to turn on the first option for pagination, because if you don't have that on, the apps just kind of like flow throughout. Like you can just continually swipe across your apps. Like I said before, personally, I'm just a big fan of pagination, so I am going to turn that on and have that enabled. Underneath that, we have options for what happens when we swipe up on an app card. By default, and this is my favorite option, hands down, we get a beautiful preview or open app option. I'm going to swipe up on Cydia. Look at this animation, guys. This is, if you want to know why I love A3tweaks and I love reviewing them, this is why. The animation is just beautiful, and that's all I can say about it. Nothing else I say can describe it any better. We've also got more options under swipe up. We can swipe up to close the app, as you guys just saw. And finally, if we enable the close all apps option, we can we can slide up, and then we will have the option to close all apps or hit cancel if we slid up by mistake. Once again, my favorite option is preview and open app, so I'm going to select that again. And then we also have an option for swipe down. If you want to have the preview and open app option enabled like I do, you can close apps simply by just swiping down on them like so. There's also a great option for closing all apps, and I'm not going to do that because I need some to demo how the app works. But if you do hold down on one of the app cards, it will ask you if you want to close all apps, just like we saw before when we selected the swipe up close all apps option. And finally, we have some options for close all apps. So if there's some applications, like if you have music playing and you never want the music app to close when you close all apps, you can just find the music app and uncheck it. And just like that, it won't actually kill the music app if you're in the middle of listening to music and you select the close all apps option. Heading over to the auxiliary pages, which I actually have not showed you guys yet. Let me show you what happens when you swipe left while using Auxo Legacy. Right there, we've got our little nice music section with our sound controls, as well as rewind, play, fast forward, and a little description of what is currently playing. And then if we swipe over to the left one more time, we've got our toggles for airdrop, brightness, all our toggles, and it also works with polis. So if you swipe over, you can see I've got some extra toggles here that I can easily access with Auxo Legacy. Up at the top of the auxiliary pages page, I guess, we've got some options for playback. So we can either see a volume slider, which is enabled by default, or a track scrubber. So if something is playing, you'll be able to drag the track across to either go backward or forward, which is pretty cool. And then under settings, we have the options for AirPlay and AirDrop, or double row toggles. So if you rarely use AirPlay or AirDrop, or you just never use it at all, you can actually select double row toggles, and look at this, guys. You can actually get your quick launch apps down below, which is super useful. Actually, I didn't even discover this before, but I think I'm definitely going to leave that enabled because I like the way it looks. And personally, I think I've used AirPlay and AirDrop toggles once or twice on my device, and that might have even just been in a video. So I am definitely going to use the double row toggles option. And the last setting under the auxiliary pages section is to swap the auxiliary page order. So for example, when I turn that off, you can see that when I swipe once to the left after I get off my app card page, it actually brings up the toggles and quick launch toggles first. And then if I swipe one more to the left, there's the music page that used to be where the auxiliary page was. I hope that makes sense. Basically, that'll just switch where the music and auxiliary pages go so that you'll have toggles first instead of music when swap aux page order is disabled. And finally, let's take a look at some more advanced options for Auxo Legacy Edition. Up first on this page, we've got what we want to open when we first swipe up from the middle of our screen. Now, by default, this is set to last open page, but that was actually bothering me because whenever I want to invoke Auxo Legacy, for me, I want to see my apps that are currently running because I really like swipe gestures to view running apps. So I set it to App Switcher. You can also set it to the playback page or the settings toggle pages, as you guys can see as I switch throughout them. Whatever page is checked is the one that's going to open by default. You can also have it set to last open by default, but I really like opening on the App Switcher normally. Under that, we've got an option that says, if playing, open to playback. It sounds a little bit confusing, but basically if you've got media playing on your device, it's going to open up to the playback or media controls page before it would go to the app switcher or whatever you had set by default. And then finally, if you can actually hide pages, which I think is pretty cool. This tweak has a lot more customization than I honestly thought it would. So you can hide pages. Let's say I never want to see the playback page. Well, now I just have settings and that's it. Or for example, let's say I don't want anything. I can swipe up and it'll actually just have a little section that says Auxo Legacy Edition by Sentry and Ryan Petrick. Thank you for your purchase. Not really useful at all, but I think it's kind of cool. So for me, I'm going to have all three enabled just because that's what I like. But if you never want to see the app switcher for some reason or any of these other two pages, you can definitely change that with Auxo Legacy. And then finally it says, if not playing, hide playback. So if you don't have any media playing, it'll hide the playback page entirely, which I think is actually kind of intuitive. I think I'll leave that setting on for a little bit. So guys, that is what Auxo Legacy Edition does. If you want my honest opinion of this, I feel like it's a very good tweak. Sometimes when you like swipe up on an app, it'll just kind of do a frantic animation to catch up, especially I believe if you're on an older device. But like Leo Dictionary, I was using that to translate some German, and sometimes there'll just be some black screens for app pages. And if you swipe up on that, it just doesn't look very nice. The animation jumps in. Of course, I believe this is mainly due to graphical limitations of iOS because of a lack of RAM, but just the way the tweak works, sometimes it has a couple of issues, like swiping up on the tray. Every once in a while, if you're in an app, it'll like beat the weight a little bit, but overall, 95% of the time, this tweak works great, and I would highly recommend you check it out. If you do want to get it, you can head over to Cydia right now, and you can download it for only 99 cents if you purchased Auxo 2 or Auxo 3 in the past. Or if you want to jump in the Auxo action for the first time, you can download this for only $1.99. Once again, it's made very well. It works perfectly 95% of the time, and I love it. It's a great tweak. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that like button down below, and of course subscribe for more content related to jailbreaking. This has been Sam with iUpdateOS. I will talk to you guys in the next one.